and friends, all right, and we fucking whoa.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yay.
Welcome to the 2A Brotherhood podcast. Today we have a special guest. We have Philip from W.O.F.T on today. Philip, take some time and introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Hello, Rob and Dimitri. Thanks for having me on. I
Thanks for being
appreciate,
on.
the opportunity, to share what I believe is important information, not only for our community here, in Central Florida where we are, but the community at large in the United States.
You one of the things we were talking about before we went live is that we're in a bit of a pickle as a country when it comes to firearms at this point, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we're somewhat unique. We specialize in so I'm the founder of W.O.F.T. We have a 20-acre facility outside of Orlando, Florida, and we specialize in real life scenario safety and instruction. And really learning, we've somewhat perfected a learning experience for civilians on learning how to think and react faster under stress. And by taking scenarios and then reverse engineering them, so I can teach you and have you learn things faster with purpose-based learning based on force science principles. And I geek out over this stuff, but my background is not in military law enforcement. I had my first exit in real estate about 20 years ago, and I was able to travel the country and train with whoever I wanted. And I couldn't find what I wanted around the country, so I made my own. And we're on our 15th year of large group scenarios right now. And we just have a lot of fun, and we're doing God's work and bringing value because everybody wants safety.
Yeah.
Of course.
That and then education when it comes to firearms is helps everybody. Helps the people that are not for the 2A community. It helps them cross over, realizing that hey, in any of these scenarios, I will be better off if I have a firearm with me to protect me and my family.
Yeah. What's neat about scenario training is if you're not a gun owner, we make it work for you. If you are a gunner, we make it work for you. It's we work very hard to help people be responsible gun owners and help new gun owners navigate, the sea of options and information. So there's a lot of information out there, but not a lot of knowledge. So if you carry a gun, it's only logical that we create scenarios that are more likely to happen, which is nothing, because our day-to-day life, nothing's likely to happen. But the legality of carrying a firearm, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. So that's the cool stuff that we have a lot of partners. We partner with X Insurance, and they provide scenario insurance for us, because if anyone is doing any kind of scenarios around the country, and this is for your listeners out there, because I would say 30% of our guests here are other instructors from around the country, because you'll have general liability insurance, and that's great if you're two-dimensional range, and that's great. But and you might have jujitsu or empty hand insurance, and that's fantastic because okay, MMA, boxing, blah blah. But the moment you start to blend those two together with force on force or UTM, one guy will point to the other if there's a claim, the other will point to the other, and you'll be in no man's land. So, that's something that I sought out, and we have the proper insurance. And if instructors are out there, have them reach out to you, and you can reach out to me. But X Insurance is the best. So it's like I want to help everybody in this community to share some of the knowledge that I learned and spent many years trial and error. And yes, if you're not using X Insurance, even if you have, we're not talking about general liability for, your personal. We're not talking about firearms legal protection, which is also fantastic, or, all the other, I call them the alphabet folks, because I've trained the owner of the USCCA, Tim Schmidt. I've trained his ex-wife. I've trained his kids. And everyone listening to this, that whether you own a firearm or not, should have some type of insurance. But I'm talking about specific instructor insurance for scenario training. So, and that's just some value I wanted to give you guys. It's under X Insurance. xinsurance.com. He's one of my good friends, and he helps people. And that's the whole purpose of this, by the way. I'm on your podcast because I want to get to know you guys, and then also eventually invite you out because, you know, us as an industry, I don't think we play well enough with each other. And so I want to be that to kind of reach out. I want to reach out and bring a lot of value to everyone. And that's why it's like we have a 501c3. We help single moms, and we help first responders' families, and then people that can't afford a higher level experience, because what I do is not magical. We focus on concepts, and then we have a very, very low student to instructor ratio, which is ridiculous. So much so that when we're doing scenarios, typically we'll have 7 or 8 instructors for one student.
Wow.
So just imagine that inverted, right? Where it's like, okay, Rob, you and Dimitri, your daily rate is X, and now we're only going to bring in one student, and we'll run 6 people in a half a day, but we'll run one student, and we'll have 6 to 7 instructors because role playing. So, and we'll deep dive into that. If you're not cheating, you're not trying, in scenarios and applying concepts and all kinds of fun stuff. So.
Well, what's some of the scenarios that you put the students through?
Well, let's talk about, that's a great question. So let's talk about first, what is a scenario, right? Because a lot of your listeners, they might think of, oh, go to the water fountain and, like, what is real life scenario safety and instruction, right? So when I talk about scenario safety, for me, think of it like this. Every day, every one of us enter and exit scenarios. We go to coffee shops, we go to gas stations, we walk our dog, we go to restaurants, and we don't go to movies anymore, but we go to restaurants. And all of these are scenarios, a simple part of our everyday lives. And most of us enter and exit these scenarios quite oblivious to our surroundings, right? And with the advent of cell phones, many are completely distracted.
Definitely.
Now, generally, it's not a problem. And most of the time, it's all quite civilized. So, but we focus on the moments when it's not. Okay? What happens when a stranger approaches you? What happens when someone starts to follow you, or a loved one? I've got a 17-year-old daughter. I've got a 20-year-old son. All right? What happens when someone might become aggressive, or an ego-based scenario? Hey, you parked in my spot. Hey, you're looking at my girl. Hey, like ego-based scenarios. And now that scenario becomes a situation. What would you do, and what should you do? Right? Just because you can, should you? Right? You guys mentioned Maryland. Maryland's much different than Florida.
Yeah.
A lot different.
Right? Right? And even in Florida, I live in Lake County. If I go over to Orange County, which is just one county over, if I ever had to defend myself, it could be treated very differently. Where someone's like, hey, you did a good job, high five. The other person's like, hey, you're guilty until proven innocent. Right? So these are a lot of things that you can be 95% right, but still 5% wrong. And so there's a lot of statistics out there that 95% of people that get prosecuted, it ends in a plea deal. And it's things that people don't like to talk about. So it's so important to incorporate scenario training, because you don't know what you're really going to do until you get put in those situations. So we do that just at a very, very high level, and reverse engineer potentially things about, we teach everyone how to deal with these very real encounters so that everyone can be empowered to manage these very difficult situations.
Yeah. That statistic is alarming. Actually, 95% of them end up in plea deals. Wow.
Yeah, it's very scary when you start to really digest the horsepower for that, and it goes to show you just how important, scenario training is. That was it Jerry Mitchellek? He, a good friend, Lena Mitchellek. She's trained with me for 3 years. Jerry for 5. And just great people, great family. And Jerry always talks about, instead of buying a $3,500 gun and $500 worth of ammo, buy a $500 gun and get $3,500 worth of training, and ammo put into that. That's what's going to help make it. So let's deep dive a little bit more as to scenario training and how does it work. Okay, how does it work at W.O.F.T? So classes start with education and awareness, and we teach you both what to do and how to do it. And that's when the real magic happens. We've all seen like a behind the scenes video of how movies are made. So think of W.O.F.T as like a movie studio backlot where you're the featured player. So we set up the scenes like a parking garage or a classroom or a coffee shop. And then we put you in this scenario, right? And so we can reverse engineer where it's like you're in a coffee shop, it might get robbed. Well, how good of a witness can you be? How many of them were? How many were there? Where are the exits? Why is that important? And the debrief from that. And then, kind of, it's what makes us different. It's hugely valuable to understand the enormous differences between military or tactical style training experiences versus an immersive real life scenario and organic learning experience. So think of it this way. In a tactical self-defense style, exercise, the starting point is inevitably you're already in a fight.
Yeah.
Right? It's like on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 you're at a gas station, a stranger approaches you, distance breaks down, and now at 4, I'm close enough I can touch you. Right? That's where your jiu-jitsu and your MMA and your striking and all that stuff starts. And then you have immediate imminent threat, which will be 9 or 10. So you're either, think about training, you're either starting shooting a gun or you're going hands-on with empty hand. And so everyone hard focuses on that instead of how do I see it coming and avoid it? Hard focus on that. So those are the concepts that we want to give you that experience, and then we back into the real life everyday stuff. Everyday scenarios. Things that are much more likely to happen in your life. And real life is much more complex. There are a huge number of variables and a huge number of potential catastrophic results. Not necessarily just life and limb, but the legal consequences, as well as a long-term harm to yourself or loved ones or others. So, no one's doing this and nothing else is like it. And that's what lies our challenge. And that's why I bring up good partners, because any instructor out there needs to have proper instructor insurance. Okay. So that's, again, the takeaway for you guys. When you go someplace, you should ask them if they're insured, because they're having you do certain things. And if it's not purpose-based learning, if they're not insured by X insurance, there are gaps in their coverage, for example, right? So I have a multi-million-dollar facility here. When you guys come to me, it's like they're not going to sue instructor so-and-so. They're going to sue the dirt that they're standing on. Does that make sense? And so if it can and will happen, what are the standard operating procedures, And those are the things that I want your listeners to take away, probably a lot of other gun enthusiasts and a lot of other instructors. And so just check that stuff out, because it's just so important.
Okay. Do you have your microphone near a fan or something, Philip?
For me, no. Let's see. I don't hear anything.
Yeah,
Is
your
it-
mic is picking something
Here.
up.
Let me see. Let me turn the.
Yeah, see, now it's gone.
It's like a white noise.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I can take my. I don't have any noise in here that I know of. Huh.
Okay. Well, we'll
That's
truck
frustrating.
through it.
Yeah, it's cool. Could be Riverside.
Yeah, it could be Riverside.
Yeah, it's quiet on this side.
Okay. So,
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so you mentioned that you train your students to perform under stress. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. So, again, there are a lot of training scars in our industry because, again, if Rob comes to an MMA gym, and this has happened a lot with us, that we train people that are blue belts or purple or black belts, because jiu-jitsu is the best, leverage-based concept, right? Or even boxing. But when it's a gray area, right? A lot of times you can't hit first. It's road rage. It's something that, things happen. So there are a lot of training scars because people that go to a range and they think that they're all dialed in because they can take their, Colt or their Glock or their SIG or whatever, or their HK, and they can sit it down on a table, load, put a target 3 to 5 to 10 yards away with no time pressure, and then get good hits. And then they bring it back lethal weapon style, and they pull off the thing and say, look, I shot right here in this nice grouping and I'm good to go. And you're going, that has nothing to do with real life, like when you get an adrenaline dump and now you're moving dynamically and you're probably one-handed because you've got something in your hand, or you've got keys or whatever. And now you're trying to draw from concealment. You're moving dynamically with an adrenaline dump and you lose all your fine motor skill. That's what we work you up to once you get the fundamentals dialed in right, because it's more mindset training. Becoming unconsciously competent. And that's what scenario training has a way of doing. That if you haven't been overseas, if you don't have a law enforcement background and you've had, unfortunately, a lot of real scenarios, how do we give civilians that experience organically without training scars? And that's the program that we've perfected over 15 years.
So what would be a good way for someone that is maybe at their local range and they want to maybe pump up their adrenaline, and before taking a couple shots downrange, maybe they want to get a little more realistic experience, something they could do by themselves? Sure.
Great question. Well, see, and thing, we can exhaust your body, but the hard part is to really, you're spooked, right? Like when it's real. So imagine if anyone on this call or listening to this thing has been in a car crash, right? You're driving down the road and all of a sudden a car pulls out in front of you and your whole body goes, and it's like you get this adrenaline rush, and it's like time either slows down and your life flashes before your eyes. And you get this adrenaline rush where it's almost like it's hard to think. Adrenaline affects the body very differently. You can have visual and audio exclusion. You can have memory loss. Where we've trained people, and it's like you walk to your car and it's like the debrief is, so what'd you see? And someone's like, I don't know, I completely just forgot what happened. It's like their body is that dialed in. The best way to start that, to answer your question, is you can do push-ups and get your heart rate going, and you can put your hands in water and do all those little things about, your body doesn't physically respond. But the mental side is what you need to conquer. That's the ultimate goal, is to come to someone like me and then learn you and then throttle to your skill set via scenarios where you don't know it's coming, where it's organic, and now you have to just simply react. Right? That is the magic, and that is what gets everyone spoiled, forever spoiled, never again to be the same in scenario training. And it's a moment. Like when you're in a moment, you're not thinking about your phone, you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about anything. You're just living in that moment. That is truly a gift. And it truly is a superpower. It teaches you how to think and react faster under stress. So for people that are at the range, if they want to start that process, they can do some push-ups and they can do some other things. But the challenge is that they better have the fundamentals dialed in first. Because I don't want to stress test you and have you walk from here to there and then draw from concealment one-handed and then have your gun malfunction and then you not be able to continue walking and clear the malfunction. And then all of a sudden the muzzle starts going places. And again, like people try to do too much too fast, John Wick style, and we hyper-focus on fundamentals. And as we start to crank it up a little bit, we start to see what you're good at, which is fantastic, but also what you need to work on. So that's another thing with scenarios. So I have people that come and train with me once a year because that's all they can afford. I have other people that come and they go, every class I have, they have, because they can't afford it or they make it a priority. So it truly is one of those things where if you're in Maryland, we're running different scenarios with you as you get good and increase the challenge of the scenarios, because a lot of places have a duty to retreat. And people don't have any clue what that means. And it's really spooky, right? Where it's like you know, we have our Second Amendment, and that's fantastic. But you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of transients out there, and there's a lot more scenarios that are happening every day. There's a scenario. There's something that we posted on our social media today, or I think it's tomorrow. Anyway, guys driving down the road on a Florida highway. There's a car on the side of the road, looks like it had an accident, and the door's open and a guy's laying on the ground. This Good Samaritan, that's what they called it, got out of his Tesla, walked over to help him. The guy gets up, runs over, and starts to attack the guy. Just flat out attacks him. Gets him on the ground and sitting there grounding and pounding, punching him in the head and just attacking him. No notice, no speaking, no nothing. He just got up, ran over, and started to attack the guy. It's like, how do you prepare for that? It's like, these are scenarios that I talk about. You know, truth is stranger than fiction. You can't make this stuff up. It's like, you know, when we do our large group scenarios class, we have once a year. We put 53 people in a scenario, and we have 13 vehicles. We have a gas station that we build. We have a candy van. We have an armored car. The candy van is playing really creepy ice cream truck music. You can't get out of your head for a couple months. and we pre-position, you know, so if Rob comes out, Rob gets a 3x5 card and it says, okay, Rob, starting card number 3 on the siren, drive around to pump 5, and then go inside and pay. And by the way, you're meeting Dimitri there. You're going to sit at the black table in the coffee shop. Dimitri, you're going to start at waypoint A, and on the siren, you're going to walk to A to B down the yellow brick road and go and order a coffee and then sit at the black table. And that's all we tell you. And then we pre-position 25 other VIP students, and we pre-position, you know, another 25 role players. And then we hit the siren. And depending on the gear that you have, depends on whether we can go hands-on or not. Depending on the gear you have, depends on if you carry every day, whether you get a UTM or not. There's no exposed skin, and we role play that to test what you will do in real life, and reverse engineer, you know, how much can you process, teaching your brain to think and process more information. And again, it's for ex-military. A lot of them are all dialed in. They've been in harm's way, but how do they give some value to the people that they care about, their kids? And same with law enforcement. So this is where we can learn collectively like a think tank. And this is what I wanted when I was traveling the country and training with all these awesome people. I'm like, this is not, if the bathrooms aren't clean, my wife's not coming back. You know? And it's like with my valuable time, I would pay more to have private training. I don't want to go to the jiu-jitsu gym, and even though I save a bunch of money, I don't want to be rolling with a bunch of white belts that might hurt me. You know? And I don't want to be there, and I could learn so much faster by private. So it's like, you know, that private that I would take, I would learn a lot more than just sitting there trying to figure it out. You know, I want to get to it because my time is very valuable. So for those that want that type of a learning experience, that's what we're built for. While we are for everyone, it's just expensive to do what we do. So, but I appreciate. I'm sorry you had your friend visit. I didn't get his name.
His name's Austin.
I'm Austin. Yeah,
Austin.
sorry, I was running behind. I got family in for Easter, so
Hey, no worries.
They were holding me up. Yeah,
well,
I apologize.
Nice to meet you. So I apologize. I could talk all night. It's not so much me; it's the Holy Spirit, and just we're doing God's work.
Amen.
Amen. So you've mentioned jiu-jitsu a lot.
Yeah.
I've done jiu-jitsu. I'm actually a black belt in Taijitsu, so I have a good experience with a little bit of MMA.
Cool.
How important is it to you think to like keep up with that and to maintain it? Because I haven't done it in a while. And what would you say for someone that's has like the level that I have, but is trying to get more into it?
I would say the first thing would be really cool is to see where you are and how you're going to handle scenarios now, right? Because one of the best gifts I can give you is, Philip, what do I focus on? It's like, well, let's see where you are. Let's put you in a scenario, see how you react, and see what clicks and what doesn't, right? And it's like in scenarios, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So you can have the best leverage base, what have you, but you have a lot of training scars if you're not going to be respectful of tools. You know, other things, blades, other things that a lot of people, it's never a fair fight. So, you know, the empty hand specialists out there, you know, it's like you get the guys that are firearm heavy, and they're the ones that the moment they get spooked, they kind of go and they index, and they shouldn't, because you know that's threatening someone's life when they get nervous. And then you get the empty hand guys, the other side of the spectrum. The empty hand guys are trying to close the distance because they want to hug me, you know. And it's like, but my hand blade's away behind my back, and it's like, you don't know what I have, right? And it's so learning pre-fight indicators that police officers, and the most dangerous part in a person when they approach you is your hands. And it's like, you know, while we want to swim in the sea and while we want to do a lot of cool stuff, it's like, I don't want, you know, a lot of times what's going to happen these days is not a one-on-one fight and it's not fair. So, you know, how do I fall without getting whiplash? How do I get up without using my head as a soccer ball? You know, these are the things that we want to practice first before we teach you how to break guard and how to this. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there that it's self-defense is not one thing. It's a lot of things added up. And jiu-jitsu is the best leverage-based, without a doubt. And then, but when you start adding John Wick pencils and other things, you know, learning how to fight with knives and other kinds of things, all this other shit goes out the window. And what I've accumulated over 15 years is a library of just videos that not only what we can learn from God's creatures and nature and how predators select prey, but then also it's like, you know, Austin, where you get two guys, and you guys might have seen this, where two guys get in a fight and it looks like they're in a parking garage, and one guy, you can tell he's highly trained, and the guy's pushing him, he's trying not to engage with him, and all of a sudden the guy goes to swing, and the guy that's trying to disengage, you know, has got some training, throws him into an armbar, right? And it's like holding him there, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, you know, timeout, the game's over, right? He's got him in an armbar, he won. The guy takes a knife out of his you know, his waistline and stabs the jiu-jitsu guy in the chest.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that armbar is like, he just lets go, and the video cuts off, but you're sitting here and you're going, wow. You know, there's a situation where it's like training scars that through scenario training, we want to start making you more of a full spectrum as far as safety, and really hit home why it's so important to not have an ego and to walk away from stuff even if you're upset, because you don't know how many bad people are, you don't know how, you know, what kind of weapons, and we really need to hard focus on immediate, imminent. Those two words need to be, you know, the people try to put them together, but they are completely separate. Immediate and imminent. You know, I have the ability to hurt you, and you can't get away, and I'm going to hurt you now. And that is where, because there's so many ego-based scenarios where, like I alluded to earlier, you can be 5% wrong and still get prosecuted. You did 95% right, but that 5% is going to catch you. So that's where we learn how to weed that out in scenarios organically.
Yeah, that's a great point. I want to touch on something real quick that you had mentioned earlier, was, you know, someone getting close to you, they want to hug you, you know, and then you got people that want to get distance. And that actually brings me to a really great topic I want to ask you. So for those situations, that's why I particularly carry appendix whenever I can. How do you feel about that? Because I've always seen it as being able to draw with both hands, carrying appendix, and carrying on the hip, you know, from my martial arts background, knowing how easy it is to stop someone's hand if they're reaching for their hip. You know, I feel like it's a lot better to carry appendix. What do you think, though?
Fantastic question. Okay. And early on, when I first started my skill at arms, you know, journey, I like to be able to explain something 3 different ways in 4 different languages, right? So I can explain, and I prefer to carry appendix, because one of my mentors, Gabe Suarez, it is the best gunfighting style that If you're falling backwards, you can deploy it. If you're carrying at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, which is more of a Dom Razzo, SEAL Team 6 dev group guy, he is going to back himself into a corner. He wants his gun at 3 o'clock because he can pin it against the wall. And now he can funnel you all together, and he can fight you one at a time, with blades and stuff. So there's pros and cons to both, right? Like in chess, there's always a move and a counter move. I prefer appendix because it is the fastest way it is easier and safer to draw on the move, and it is a good gunfighting style. And it's like the way I like to explain it, in nature, have you ever seen a bear backhand another bear? It's like it never happens. They always claw in, right? Because it's your bicep, it's your chest, it's your muscles as you're coming in. Well, if someone's attacking you or you're getting hit, you're going to come down inside and you're going to protect, right? You're going to come in and protect. Well, appendix and anything in your waistline, that's where you can have access to that. To where if you're here, you're not going to be able to reach out and around and go to fish for something as it's at a 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock position for me. It might be more comfortable. It might be more concealment depending on how people are made, because some people are, not everyone is made the same. So appendix is hard for some people. I get it. But appendix is what I prefer. But I can talk either way of the pros and cons of each, and it really just comes down to people's personal preference. I'm 6'2.5", so I can kind of carry whatever I want appendix. It doesn't bother me. But I've talked to people that you get to be 5'9", 5'7", all of a sudden it starts to change what you can carry, because an appendix, it kind of, there's stuff there.
Down there.
It gets, it can get in the way. Knees to chest takes a whole nother approach. Knees to chest.
So you mentioned jiu-jitsu. How do you feel about Krav Maga? Because Krav Maga, I took a little bit of it back in the day, and there was some blade defense and offense.
Yeah, all of them are fantastic. A lot of the special forces guys that I've had the pleasure of training with, most of them get to be about a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and then they move to something else because they're like, I've got the fundamentals. Anything else after that is coloring up and blah 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 blah. And Austin, one of our instructors is a 5th degree black belt, Pat Madden, under one of the Gracies. So it's like we've got tremendous lineage, here, and that's kind of what makes W.O.F.T so special, is the fact that it's not just Philip Toppino. I'm like the conductor, right? I get up there and and I'm leading the charge, right? But it's the subject matter experts that we have that we've been able to come together and for a bigger message. So Buck Lawler, who's our lead firearms instructor, he is a current Grandmaster, and he's in the top 5% nationally, and he got his Grandmaster status shooting from appendix, concealed from appendix. So everybody's sitting out there with their speed rig and it's drop offset holster and it's almost falling out. He is from appendix, from concealment.
That's
before the
crazy.
buzzer starts. So just to give you an example, he got his Grandmaster from that. So that's the kind of horsepower that, before lunch you're with 5th degree black belt Pat Madden and learning, and then after lunch you're with Buck, on the range, and they just throttle to your skill set. We first focus on the fundamentals, because it's like, I don't care how fast you can shoot, if you're not safe loading, unloading, if you muzzle yourself, you're thank you, we're taking your gun for the day and you get a red gun. It's like, if you can't pat your head, rub your stomach, it's like, forget it. It's like, so that is the, it's just, with your valuable time, that's what I wanted, and I couldn't find it, so I made my own.
Okay.
So earlier you were talking about people's reaction and stuff like that, and being able to adapt to stressful situations. I'm from the oil field. I used to work in the oil field, so I've had a lot of react or die situations that I've been in, you either overcome what you're going through, or get out the way for someone to handle it for you.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of guys fall to that and not be able to overcome that fight or flight,
Yeah.
and they tend to freeze.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific way of helping someone through that, or do you feel if someone has the freeze reaction, they're just screwed?
No, great question. We help. So here's the thing. Again, it's not me, it's the Holy Spirit. There is no one over the years that I have not been able to bring value to. And there are a lot of people, and again, this is what gives me my conviction, where it's like I've had mothers that call me and say, thank God, I froze with you because I didn't freeze in real life. So, yes, scenario training and purpose-based learning based on safety concepts, right? We don't just push you off into the deep end. We show you fundamentals, but Rob, you're going to handle it different than Dimitri, and Dimitri, you're going to handle it different than Austin based on your empty hand or your skill set or your life experiences to date. Whether all of you carry a gun every single day, or hey, I decided not this time, or I can't carry this gun for work, and it's like we learn you, and then we start to show how you apply safety concepts. And what makes us so different is that the three of you could be upstairs watching, and you learn off of each other. And most scenario training around the country, and especially from military law enforcement background, they're going to have a playbook, okay? And they're going to open up the playbook, and they're going to say, okay, Rob, you and Dimitri have to go outside and wait. Austin, we're going to run you first. And we're going to run Austin through 5 scenarios. But Rob and Dimitri can't see them, because if you see them, it's going to ruin it for you, because we've got to get through 50 more people. So we're just going to get you in and then get you out. And while we're running Austin, Rob, you and Dimitri could be learning what he's doing right, but it's going to ruin it for you because we only have 5 scenarios to run everyone through. That was never efficient enough for me. So what we do is we let everyone watch everybody else. So Rob and Dimitri, you go upstairs and you're going to watch Austin's 5 runs, because he's going to be applying safety concepts. And you're only as good as your instructor is creative. So I know what I'm going to do with Austin on the first run, but I have no clue what we're going to do with Austin on the second run, because it's organic. What he does is going to determine what we do the next run. And then the next run, what he does is going to determine what we do on the third run. So the 5th run, we're down this rabbit hole where it's like, wow, I didn't know we'd be there, but okay. And again, that's the Holy Spirit, the organic learning, the purpose-based learning that is so addicting. Because now, Dimitri, you and Rob are going to learn by watching from Austin. Now you're going to come down when it's your turn. And now it's like, okay, I think I got an idea of what I'm going to do, until you have to do it organically. And it's not going to be, it's going to be similar, but not the same scenarios, right? So after you do that with 6 people, you've got 5 runs, but now you've got 25 reps that everybody else would have missed if you're outside waiting to come in. So that's the difference, where we can do that, but only if you are, good at, so that's the magic. And then to add to that, for science, Austin, if you train with somebody that you care about, your retention goes up 600 to 800%. So you could have a better half or a loved one, or you have kids, and you're going, hey, don't talk to strangers. Hey, don't do this. And they're like, yeah, okay, Dad, yeah, whatever. It's not until you bring that into context and you let them apply those concepts that you're going to see whether the retention is going to stick. Because if they're watching their dad, if they're watching their spouse, the retention, again, under Force Science studies, you have a 600% to 800% more retention, right? So, Austin, it's not like, oh, you're gripping it wrong, and if you don't do jits 3 days a week, 2 hours a session, in 6 months, you're going to forget it all, right? On the fine motor skill via gross motor. So this is something that what makes our experience different is we want to see first what you're going to do naturally, and then we go off of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
totally.
like custom to the person, which is amazing.
Yeah, right.
That is,
And it's not,
that's awesome.
yeah, it's not done anywhere else because there's very little money in it. It's
Mhm.
very expensive compared to everything else, right? And that's the difference, is that when you, I just wanted that experience. Like, our concealed carry classes are more expensive because we include ammo, we have UTM, we include targets, we include range fees, we include a 15 shot test at the end of it. And so people are like, well, I can go over here and get it done cheaper. And then you get there and you go, oh, by the way, did you bring a gun? Oh, you have to rent that. Oh, by the way, there's a range fee. You have a range fee. Did you buy targets? No, you got to buy them from us. Oh, by the way, and they nickel and dime you, and I hate that. It just, that drives me absolutely crazy. So it's like, you can literally just show up, and we take care of everything. And if you're comfortable and we make it easy, think about the classes you guys might go to, and there's that one guy there that didn't bring the right equipment, and now you're fiddle farting around. You're waiting to get him up to speed, or he's being unsafe because now all of you are in the same relay because they don't have enough instructors to break you up. So you got one guy that's drinking from a fire hose and one guy that's falling asleep. And if you're unsafe, you're not going to be paying attention to the training.
Yeah.
So that's the horsepower that over the years we're just unapologetically aggressive, and we're just like, no. If I'm going to go there, I want the best for the time that I have. And it's like, we have broken it down, so instead of a 2-day class, you can do a 1-day class. Instead of a 1-day class, you can do a half-a-day class. And it's like, it at least makes it bite-size, for people. And we have payment plans and 0% financing, all kinds of stuff. But it's like, that's why I haven't been able to do it cheaper. And I don't say cheap. The value is there, but it's not something that everyone can just easily afford because it's expensive. But the value is there.
Well, at the end of the day, you get what you pay for,
Exactly.
If you're giving $20 to a guy behind an alley, then you're going to get $20 worth of training, It's what value do you have in training and the ability to protect you and your family? And that's what it ultimately comes down to.
How much is your life worth?
Well, again, it's one of those things. The challenge, gentlemen, okay, is the fact that, and everyone, and I mean everyone, is saying that they do what we do. But I can tell you, unless they're charging an immense amount of money, and even then they're not making any money, because I don't draw anything from it. I put everything back into the classes to have extra students, and then have good, awesome food that's cooked, and have the staff for that, and have clean bathrooms, and have video and photography and jerseys and all kinds of cool, fun stuff. So again, it's something that you are all invited. You should try at least once. And it's not astronomical, but it's $875 for a half a day. And it's not astronomical, and that includes ammo, it includes gear and food and jerseys and all this stuff, and photography and video. But when you add a family of 4 and you want to do that for 2 days, it turns into $12 grand. Right? So, but it's something that is life changing, and it's something that, if Austin came out, Austin would figure out really quickly, like, oh, that's why I carry appendix. Oh, that's what I do this. Oh, and now when he leaves us, he knows exactly what worked for him and what he can work on next time. And now he comes out 12 months later or 6 months later, and he gets to test it over again. He gets to see where he is. Does that make sense? That's kind of what we want to do. And it's like the Olympic Dream Team. It's like, all of our instructors kind of take a hit, because there's no way to do what we do with, everyone showing up saying, I'm the greatest, I'm worth $5 million a day, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, it doesn't work. We all come together because we know it's a bigger mission, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
And one of the things, sorry, my camera is acting up. One of the things that it sounds like, you don't have to travel with your firearms. So if you're flying into Florida, You don't have to worry about bringing your guns and all your equipment with you and go through the hassle of TSA.
Yep. We have everything. We have everything. So Sig Sauer was one of our premier sponsors. We were a Sig outpost for 4 years, and until the 320 debacle, and then some of our folks left there, and so I still carry my 365 XL, but the 320s are benched until we can put better Glock triggers in them, for example. But no, we have Heckler & Koch is another one of our really good partners. We're talking to Glock, but Glock is just Glock, and they're like, hey, we're Glock. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
so
who are you?
But
you know what I mean?
yeah. So we have so those that want to come here, we have Glock HK, we have Colt, we have SIG. So there's typically something for everyone. And we have all the gear and all the equipment. So it's like everything's pre-positioned for you. So Rob, all your mags are loaded for you. So it's like, what's that worth? What's your time worth if I can get you on the range and you can get 10 more reps?
Yeah.
Compared to like, all right, guys, you're one of 14 people and we're taking a break, and go back and load your magazines while we change the targets. And you're probably losing 20% of your training day because you don't have the right staff.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's what I want people to engage and embrace. Hey, I've got subject matter experts. The lunch is awesome. The bathrooms are clean. And we're going to get an extra 25 to 30% more out of our day because our student-instructor ratio is 3 to 1. And if that's on the range, and then in students in scenario training, it's inverted. It's seven instructors to 1 student.
Do you do rifle, pistol training, both, or
everything? Absolutely everything. That's cool. So we I think we came up with a list. Like, so Brent Buss, who his code name is Rooster, he's former CIA and did a lot of stuff with the SEALs with boats and stuff like that. We came up, I think we had like 23 different stations that we, from pistol all the way through home clearing, everything to competitive shooting, everything to long gun, anti-carjacking, precision rifle. You think of Robert Brantley, king of the 2 mile. Whenever Junior or Eric Trump goes hunting, they take Robert Brantley with them. And Robert Brantley's been training with me for 5 years. I trained his family. So it's like, we just look at me as a blank white canvas that you can come in and I give you the paintbrush and you paint whatever you want. And there's no ego. It's like, I just want to help you. I want to be your guide. And I know a thing or two, and I just want to show you what I know, and then we want to learn you, and then we want to bring you value. And Pat Madden, all he does, think about it, right, Austin? What's it take to be a 5th degree black belt under Gracie?
A lot of training.
Just a little bit of time, you think?
No, it takes a lot of time, a lot of training, I feel like.
And then you take someone like Buck, Buck being a grandmaster shooting appendix, that's all he does. I mean, he dry practices, a lot daily. He is immersed into that. That has been his goal, and it took him 3 or 4 years now. I think he's been with us for 4 years, and he, it's like, that is the horsepower, because one guy can't do it all. And that's what I wanted, safety for my family when I'm not with them. That's why W.O.F.T started, and that's why I just want to back up, is that, everyone should carry a flashlight every day. Okay, this is a special W.O.F.T flashlight. I came out with it at SHOT Show 3 years ago. This is the prototype. We have a new one coming out in April. And this is the size of a Streamlight ProTac 1AA. And it's a small flashlight, but this is going to pump out 2,000 lumens. Wow. And this is my own design. And this is something that it's flashlights. Everyone should carry a flashlight every day, right? And at the very least, I want to talk to you guys about what a flashlight can do. Okay? But first, I don't want to. I've been talking too much. Any other questions for me before I go into flashlights?
I just wanted to say that I really love what you're doing, and I really feel like more people should get into training. Actually, close to where I live, last week at a mall, someone was getting assaulted by a bunch of guys, and he drew a firearm And I was talking to my wife about this, and she was like, "Oh, good for him." But then I was like, "Well, then everyone started taking his firearm." I was like, "You need to be able to handle yourself in that situation and know how to adapt to the fact that you're fighting several people and they're coming at you. It might not be the best time to draw a firearm if you can't get the distance from them. You know, like the training. You can't just have the firearm. You need the training to back it up.
Yeah.
So I think what you're doing is really great."
No, thank
'cause
you.
your weapon can be used against you.
Well, and we play the what if game a lot, right? So the what if game is whenever you see a scenario or like, what Austin just mentioned, what my brain goes to is 30 seconds before the fight started, what happened, right? What led up to that, right? If they were predators and they were selecting him, why'd they select him and not somebody else? Was it somebody he knew? Were there was disagreement walking out to a car? And it's like multiple guys fighting one person. Was it a gang, right? And so those predators, before they started to attack them, any type of when you study nature, right? Predators, there's typically a 5-step process where the predator has to select you, but then they have to close the distance, right? And then they actually get close enough to attack you. So, and they might be following you for 5 minutes or 5 hours. So if you can see that and you can see that coming and you can interrupt that process in any way, they might just go to somebody else. So that's where we hyper focus on the step 1, because it might not go to step 2. Step 2 might not go to step 3. And what Austin just related is this person felt immediate imminent threat and he's already at 9. And it's like, well, shit. And earlier I got off topic, but earlier it's like, I've trained a lot of military folks, and when you get into like Krav Maga or you get into striking, a lot of guys to close that loop. A lot of guys, jiu-jitsu is the best leverage-based, hands down. But they get to be about a blue belt, and then they go off and they want to learn other stuff because it's more about just striking to get distance. If someone gets close to you, if you can have a flashlight, 2,000 lumens, even in the middle of the day, and someone comes up to you and you go, "Hey man, sorry, I don't want what you're selling, go away," and you have one tool, you might have another tool. And so that person's like, well, geez, he's got something. And now you get close, and now this flashlight can magnify your voice. Stop. You get more loud and more aggressive. And if you can startle and intimidate a potential predator, they might go to somebody else. So that's the horsepower where, yes, striking is fantastic. And a lot of special forces guys will tell you that they learn how to strike and they cheat by using tools. The MMA stuff and the cage stuff is fantastic and it's great to know, but it's something that just don't develop training scars, and it's great to be in shape. It's great to be able to go and roll, right, Austin, and roll somebody else. It's great to have that in the tank, but it's like what's more likely to happen is nothing. So it's like what I joke about with people is, before I want to teach you how to get out of a headlock, I want you to be like, how'd I get into the headlock to begin with? Like, can I learn that first, with my 2 days being here? It's like, how do I, everyone on this channel, right, is firearm heavy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to teach somebody about a firearm safety. The last thing I want to show them is an emergency reload. Why? Because I got to drop the whole mag before I get to a slide lock on an empty mag. So it's like, I want to learn light strikes in type 1, type 2 malfunction, high brass, low brass. I want to learn all that stuff first before I learn, an emergency reload. So that's the thing with your valuable time. There's so much information out there, but not a lot of knowledge.
Heck yeah. No, it's like I said, I definitely agree with what you're doing. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Teaching these people. It seems like you're teaching them the right way.
Well, let me ask you guys. So, of the 3 of you, does anyone carry a flashlight every day?
Yes.
I do.
Cool. So, what I like about flashlights, okay, is with the proper instruction, it can be more than you could ever imagine. So we hard focus on that, and that's kind of like I geek out over that. So, because many people always ask me, like, what's up with the flashlight? Why everyone at W.O.F.T, they always go on and on about the flashlights? So let's hard focus on this, right? Programmed properly, this one has a replaceable striking bezel.
Mm-hmm.
So I can take this off, and now I can wear this as a ring.
Yeah.
So now it's just a flashlight. I've been at the White House, and it's like, you hear of stuff, right? And you go places, and it's like, you can take that off because someone might look at that flashlight and go, hey, that could be a potential, weapon, right?
Well,
but it's just a flash.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a flashlight, right? So let's say a flashlight can go everywhere. It's small, it's inconspicuous, it's multi-purpose, and with proper training, it can save your life by learning to interrupt what a predator is thinking by doing something he's not expecting. So by using a flashlight to magnify and project our voice makes a statement that strangers should stay away. And we have a tool. If we have one tool,
there could be more.
Correct. So the fact of the matter is a flashlight is simply a tool no different than any other tool. A hammer is a tool, a screwdriver is a tool, right? And you guys, depending on what state you're in, unfortunately people don't realize this, transients, police are unable to take away screwdrivers. They can't take away a hammer. Why? It's a tool. It's not a weapon.
Yeah.
So it's like they know that stuff, and so that when you come into a place and it's gun free, it doesn't mean it's weapons free. And nowadays with carbon fiber and all that stuff, they can metal detectors don't catch anything. So that's the whole purpose of, I just want to refer that our first tool is to think critically under stress, and that's what real life scenario and safety and instruction is for mindset training. And we often refer to the old adage, nobody ever wants to buy a 1/4-inch drill bit. What they want is a 1/4-inch round hole. Right? So it's the same with a flashlight or a firearm, pepper spray, even security system at somebody's home. Nobody wants to buy a security system for their home. What they want is to feel secure. What they want is a better sense of security, all which brings us back to the flashlight. It's different because there are two basic elements to a W.O.F.T flashlight. First, it's uniquely designed and easy to use for programming, and it builds into our self-defense curriculum. And then it's exclusive, that no one's making this the way we are. It's programmed for self-defense. So if it strobes, I want it to strobe, but for gross motor, not fine motor. So just neat stuff. It's one of those things where when you guys eventually visit, we will teach you to maximize it to its ultimate potential. Man, where's the time go? Holy shit.
Right? What?
I'm sorry.
And it's amazing because no. We've hit like all the questions I sent you without even asking them. That's awesome. One of the ones that we have missed. Your students, how should they continue their training after they leave your facility?
So for example, let's say Austin visits and we find out really quickly what he's really good at because it just comes out organically, right? We put you in scenarios so that, Dimitri, you are going to be unconsciously competent in purpose-based learning through proper scenarios, and you're going to see what you do naturally already. And it's going to expose what you don't do unconsciously. You're going to have those situations. So scenario training is the ultimate gift to test you. So our students know when they leave what they need to work on. It's a no-brainer. It's like it's something that it's such a life-changing experience to fully be in a moment, and we don't push you off into the deep end, but we allow you the potential of experiences by, again, like I alluded to earlier, throttling to your skill set. So it's like finding your voice, learning how to communicate properly, because you get nervous, and Austin's thinking about what he's going to do to me, but if he's carrying a firearm and I don't know he's carrying that, and it's getting to a point where it's starting to break down, and now you guys from up there can see we're kind of driving him, or there's multiple people now and we're approaching while he's at his car. If he doesn't convey that to us, right, he's basically saving our life and it's like, hey, back away, I have a firearm, I'll defend myself. It's like, what? Like, I didn't know he has that, right? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
how good of a target can you be, with the flashlight magnifying your voice? A command presence, if you will. So our students, we learn you, we assess you, and then we give you homework. But the goal is that in a half a day, we can bring you immense value. And that's something that, there's no one that we have not been able to bring value to. So it's definitely something that should be on your bucket list. And that's why, guys like W.O.F.T, came out to visit us. And Dimitri, I'll make a little note here to send you a clip. It's kind of funny that Andre came and trained. He came and trained with me. He heard of me from a couple other guys that I knew, and so he came out with Tiago. Came out as well, and we had a lot of fun. And he learned a lot. He is a fantastic athlete, fantastic dad, but you guys remember the Jake Paul fight a couple months ago?
Yeah.
Andre had an altercation in the parking lot where one of these YouTuber guys walked by and somebody either pushed him or tried to swing at him to capture some content, and all hell started to break loose. And it was really neat because Andre, you see him, he had his phone in his hand, and it's kind of a joke where he swings at a guy and does something else, and all of a sudden you see him pause and he switches hands with his phone, and he goes and he backs up and he finds his wife and his son. And it was one of those moments where, it was very neat. I felt very humbled, very honored that he's like, in his broken English, Russian, he's like, yes. He goes, I learned all that stuff at W.O.F.T. He goes, at W.O.F.T. I learned, So it's kind of cool that, we can bring value to, world champions and people that are the most dangerous in the world with their bare hands. And it just comes down to mindset training. And it comes down to you guys, again, going and seeking training. I would argue it's like, what do you want to learn? Is it more for entertainment, right? Or is it more for purpose-based learning based on what you want? So like, for example, for me, I wanted to learn how to carry concealed, Rob and Austin. Why appendix? Why not 3 o'clock? So I sought out Gabe Suarez. He was another one of my mentors. I was an affiliate of his for quite a while, 2015, so I'm dating myself here. But, Gabe is, again, fantastic instructor, but his life was, ex-LA gang unit, narcotic, undercover guy, right? So
wow.
he had to carry appendix, right, Dimitri? And it's like, Austin, if he's carrying appendix and if a drug deal goes bad, he has to carry it concealed enough that no one can see it. But then if he's not moving and he got into a lot of gunfights, it's like, learning how to actually get into a gunfight when you're not expecting it. And then how to put the other guy down, but you not get hit. It's like, it's just dynamic movement. So all angles and all kinds of neat stuff. So it's like, that's what I did is I sought out these guys and just wanted to soak up as much as I possibly could. And again, that's where W.O.F.T came from, guys. And Dimitri, you alluded to it right before we got on. I couldn't find what I wanted, so I made my own.
That's perfect. Yeah. That's a good way to end this. And by whoever swung on Andre Ovlasky, you must want a death wish because that dude can hit hard.
Good bull, man.
I'll send you. We're trying to work the schedule out for him to come, and we're competing with his son's softball, baseball, schedule. But it's such a blessing. I'm very humble. I pray about it all the time. I'm nobody. I was just I was a husband that became a dad. My background's in commercial real estate, and I sought my skill at arms, over 20 years ago. And being a good collegiate athlete, I've been able to financially get caught up to speed much faster than everybody else because that's all I did. Like, I've been doing nothing other than scenario training now, Austin, for 15 years. Wow. So it's like I surpassed the 10,000 hour mark like a decade ago. So it's like, that's the cool stuff that, look at me as Madagascar. We broke off from Africa 100 million years ago. We've been able to evolve in a cave, and the things that we're doing, you're not going to get it from a law enforcement or military pedigree, right? It's a morph. It's a different way of thinking from a civilian application, and we start stranger danger at age 5. So, you know, we want you to bring your kids. We want you to bring your better halves. We want you to bring your parents, because they might not carry a gun every day, but they can carry a flashlight. And it's a fun family experience, right? For you to bring them with you so you can all learn collectively. And it's just a fun family trip. So it's not the tactical side. And, you know, it's whatever you want to learn. So we have people that come and they do nothing but competitive shooting for 2 days straight. We got other guys, Austin, that come in and they want blade training, right? Because they're good empty hand guys, but most empty hand guys, as you know, it's like, hey, when it comes to a knife, run away, shoot them, you know, just don't even. So it's like, but how you better learn how to defend against a knife, you learn how to fight with one. So that's the kind of cool stuff that with us, it's not just me, it's everyone with me. And so that's the cool horsepower. And we want safety for everyone. So we're just doing God's work. And I appreciate you guys, you know, having me on, and keep up the good work. And as this continues to grow, you know, you guys keep sharing the message, and
we will
bring value.
Amen.
Yeah.
Phil, thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome. I want to talk to you about something. Can you stay on like 2 minutes after we get off? Okay.
Sure.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching the podcast today and listening to it. Phil, you were amazing. We'll see you guys next time.
Happy Easter. Christ has risen.
Yep.
Amen.
Amen. God is good. Good night.